Hi guys, welcome. Today we like to talk about buying and selling houses in America, or buying and selling real estate in America. As you know that we are designated real estate agent, we are licensed agent, and we are empowered to represent the either buyer side or the seller side in the whole real estate deal and how it works in America. Especially, I like to inform my followers that in America is now the situation is going on all over the world, and we are also as a victim of this whole process that is going on. We are, pandemic situation is all over the world, and in America, especially in New York, we have the highest rate of death toll in the whole part of the country. As you know that's a separate discussion. But today, you remember last episode, I was talking about the market and how you understand the economy of the market for the real estate, the buyer and the seller, whose market is the buyer market or the seller market. Today I want to discuss about you know how does buying and selling process work in America. Look at this, buying and selling process is not an easy process. It is really a complex and huge process, and so many parties are involved here. Let me tell you how many parties are involved here: the seller, the buyer, the seller agent, the buyer agent, the seller attorney, and the buyer attorney, the buyer bank. 6 7 parties are involved here. And the house buying and selling it not like a one day or over the night that you go to the market, you choose something, you get a payment, and you take the money and you're happy, you go to the home. It's not like that. It's a huge process. Let me tell you the process in a nutshell. First, the seller who want to sell the house, he need to hire an agent like me. Why? Because we are the expert. Can the seller sell the house by himself? Yes, he can do it. But remember, the house selling is a huge process. It goes like 3 months to 6 months, sometimes an year. So the seller don't have that much patience or knowledge or expertise to do that. That's why they need to hire a licensed real estate broker or an agent like me. What do? We go to the seller call us. I go to the seller house, and he asks me, hey, I want to sell this house, and I want X amount of price to sell this house. So what do you think? Then actually he's asking my opinion, and he wants to hire me. He's not hired me yet, but he wants to hire me. But he need opinion first. And then I have to show my expertise. I have to review the house. I have to go here and there, upstairs, downstairs. I have to check the roof and basement. I have to do some market analysis. I have to do some comparisons. I have to check so many pros and cons of the house. And then after coming to office, then I have to do some online comparative market analysis, and then I will tell him approximate price that house is worth in the market. And if he agrees with that, then he signs an agreement with me. He hired me as a seller agent. Then what my part? My part is now to put the house in the market. I do the marketing part. How I do that? I just enter to the different part of the online system. We have our office online system and so many online system. We have MLS and everything. We Craigslist and everywhere. I just do a 360-degree marketing of the house. And why I do that? Because I want to get the buyer. Because buyer has the money and they want to buy the house. Once they see my house in the online or wherever he can find me, then he contact me. The buyer can contact me by himself, or he can also hire an agent like me. There is a buyer agent. Again, most of the time, and I should say 90% of the time, the buyer they hire an agent, because again it is a long process, and there is a lot of patience and emotions go on through the whole process. So a lot of expertise needed. So agent is an expert. So that's why the buyer hired an agent, because the agent knows very well about the house conditions and everything. I know how to do the process, how to march with him to the long journey. So that's why he has an agent. So the agents now contact with me, and agent say, hey, we have an offer for the house, this amount of the offer. And I say, okay, fine. And for the offer, can you send me some of the paperwork? I want to see your financial bank statement, your credit history, credit line, something like that. Because I wonder whether you want to buy the house, but I don't know what is his financial capacity to buy the house, right? That's why I need to see some of the prima facie of the paperwork so that I can understand, yes, he's a good buyer and he can buy the house. He has that amount of money, and he has a loan approval. They need a loan approval from the lender or the bank, so that the bank is ready to give them loan. I have to do some paperwork like here and there, and I have to review them. However, once I do that, then I take the file to the seller and say, hey, I got a good buyer. And the seller says, really? Yeah, okay, fine. Let's see how this buyer is, how much is important is that, what is the financial status. Then I showed him, I talked to him, I gave him a lot of data and observations that I did. Then I share everything with him. And if he agrees with the price, then he says, yes, I agree with the price. If not, he has like higher expectation or the lower expectation, or then we have to do the negotiation. Negotiation part is a very hurdle that we need to overcome. It's like seller want this amount, the buyer want to give this amount, and then we have to bring them in a place so that both party can be happy, right? After all, we have to make a deal so that everybody feel themselves that they are the winner. So the negotiation is very, very important. You need to have a lot of technique to know, because you have to play with the emotions, and you have to sometimes control the emotions, because it's the questions of $500,000 or $1 million. Sometimes it goes more than $1 million. There is so many back and forth and so many things we have to handle. That's why the agent is supposed to be a good negotiator. And if an agent is not expert and a good negotiator, then it's impossible to make a deal. Many agents are out there, but 80% of the agents, they don't know how to do a good negotiation, good communications, and good, sometimes we need to do the motivation. Believe me, sometimes I have to do a lot of motivation to the buyer and seller to calm down their emotions. However, we do that, and once the salary is agreed, and then the part comes to sign an agreement. And who makes the agreement? Here comes the role of the attorneys. The seller has an attorney, he has to hire an attorney. The buyer has an attorney, he has to hire an attorney. And the both attorney communicate with each other. And I, as a convener, help of the both parties, about a lot of information they need. I have to provide them. And then the conditions and the terms, everything. And then the attorney make a final contract after doing a lot of back and forth. When the contract is ready, both party comes to the table. They sign the agreement, means the contract. And once the contract is done, then the buyer take this contract to the bank. Why? Because the bank is the lender. Bank is going to give him money. If the buyer don't have the 100% money in his pocket, then he has to take the money from the bank. He has to give some like 5%, 10%, or some cases 20%, down payment, and the rest of the money bank provide them. Bank trust him because of his credit line, because of his, financial history, because of his job and everything. The bank do a lot of thorough review of his financial background. Believe me, his credit record, even like someday I'll talk about that. His whole financial history in this country, his everything, every in and out, and then bank qualify the buyer to provide him the loan. Once the buyer gets the loan, final approval from the lender or from the bank, and then the bank, they have the representative that is called mortgage broker or mortgage agent. They are also like us, a representative from the bank, right? So they do a lot of paperwork review. They whole of this process. Like sometimes it goes a month, and once the bank finally approve the loan, then the part goes more. It is the time for closing. And the closing is a very important part of this whole deal. Once the closing is done, that's the part I mostly like. So on the closing day, there is a particular day, everybody sit down on the table. It's like a round table Chris mission, meeting. So everybody, the bank is there, the attorneys, both side attorneys are there, both side agents are there, the sellers are there. On those days, we have to, sign tons of paper. The buyer and seller, they sign tons of paper. And the bank exchange a lot of papers, and the attorneys do a lot of paperwork. And it took like, sometimes it takes like 3 hours, 4 or 5 hours, something like that. And once the paperwork are done, then checks been distributed. Yeah, seller got his check. I got the commission from the seller because I had an agreement with the seller. If I can sell the house, I'll get X amount of commission from you. So that was the agreement I produced there. So from the seller, share, I take my share as a commission, and sometimes I need to distribute this commission to the buyer agent, because let's say I got 6% commission from the seller, and when the buyer agent bought the buyer, and he asked me, hey, I have a potential buyer, and if the buyer buy the house, you have to give me 2% or 1% commissions. If I would have agreed, then it is the agreement between the seller agent and the buyer agent about the commission split. So commission split, then I gave him his part, right? We take the checks with us. The checks are in the pocket. We distribute the checks. Bank distribute us the check. Everything. The checks are done. I got my commission. I come back and then I deposit the money. I get my cash. This is how we do the closing in America. We sell the house in America, and it is very cheesy. There are a lot of hard works are here. You have to do like uh, I work like 40 to 15 hours a day. Like now this pandemic is going on, but still I'm working. I'm not working that long, but still I'm working at least 6-7 hours a day. Though not many buyers are there out there, or not many sellers out there, but still we have to survive. If you don't have money, I don't have a particular job, so if we don't have money, then how can we run our daily expenses? That's why we have to come out. But we have to be careful because the pandemic situation or the COVID-19 situation is going on. At the same time, we have to work because we need money. We need our daily expenses. Again, buying and selling houses is very, very important in America for the agents, and that's how we make money in America. All right, guys, so this was the part for buying and selling from my side. Advocate Abdul Rashid, the real estate agent. My office in Jamaica, Queens, New York, and my telephone number 347-740-4599. Contact me if you need to hire an agent for selling the house or buying the house. Have a good day. Thank you so much.